That.
All right, looks like we're going to get geared up here to actually start covering some match. Here we are for the quarterfinals for Grand Prix Seattle. I am Marshall Sutcliffe, and I've got special guest Gavin Verhey in the booth with me.
Great to be here, guys.
And we are going to be covering a match between Owen TURTENWALD and James Nguyen. And this is going to be, well, I mean, we're in the top 8 here. This is when it becomes very serious. This is where you lose your out.
Yeah.
And also there's an interesting cutoff here because the top 4 get invites to the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Now, we know that Owen, I'm pretty sure he's qualified, but I don't think James is.
Yeah, James is definitely not qualified. He's a local player. He would love to qualify. Loves playing on the Pro Tour. And he's not quite there this season, but this could be his big breakout performance. He loves limited, and this would be a good opportunity for him.
I've got a chance to watch James play a couple times locally. I don't know him, but he seems to play very well.
Right. Yeah, he's
he
a
was
super
very
tight
crisp
player.
in his last. We got him in a feature match last match, and he impressed me a lot.
Yeah. Owen, while he is qualified for the Pro Tour, the top 4, I believe, get plane tickets, right? So
I think that is true.
So if Owen wins, he's got a free ride to Barcelona, which is pretty nice.
That's
now, I
nice.
think Owen is platinum. It might be that platinum get plane tickets. I'm not completely sure on the breakdown of the new Pro Player stuff.
I'll let you know when I get there.
All right, looks like the players are drawing their opening hands. Let's see what Owen's got in his. I see a Fiend Hunter, 2 or 3 lands, and they're off to the races. Owen leads on a Swamp. Mountain comes down for James Nguyen. He's got one of his 2 nobles.
There is the turn 1 Stromkirk noble that we mentioned. So let's see if Owen, he doesn't have a turn 2 play here.
Oh, that noble's going to get in there.
Noble's going to get in, it looks like.
Owen drops to 19, and a counter goes on the noble.
So this is where, if Owen has a lack of removal and is trying to use his creatures as removal, it could be problematic for him. Is this a Reckless Wave?
No, it's a 2 mana.
It's a 2 draw. Okay, so this is
the Village.
Village Ironsmith.
And what does that transform into, Marshall?
I forgot.
Iron Fang, which is the 3-1.
Iron Fang, that's right, yeah.
And Voiceless Spirit down by Owen TURTENWALD. So
that'll put the halt.
Except for Geist Flame will put an end to Owen TURTENWALD's plans. And in comes the Noble and the Werewolf, or the Unflipped Werewolf, for 3 points of damage.
Untransformed Werewolf?
Untransformed Werewolf, to be precise.
Yeah.
I know there's a Hinterland Hermit in the new set, too. I'm not sure if it's that one or Iron Fang.
All right, so we're just going to go ahead.
Fiend Hunter.
The Fiend Hunter can't block the Noble anyway, so it's just going to exile it.
And James stuck on 2 lands here. He had a pretty good draw with the Noble into the 2-drop, but not getting the job done so far. There's a looting, though.
Looting here. So this is a card that's going to be minus card advantage for James Nguyen, but it's going to up the quality of his hand quite a bit. And when you're stuck on 2 lands, upping the quality of your hand means digging for lands.
Yeah.
I saw the curve on his deck, and it actually does go fairly high.
Yep.
He's got a Vengeful Vampire in his deck, just a 6-drop, or at least he had it in his pool. I actually didn't see his final build. But.
And there's James finds his land and another Stromkirk Noble. So there it comes
and I
down.
noticed that Owen just drew one of my favorite cards from Innistrad, which is the Falkenrath Noble.
Yeah, I think Owen has 2 of those. Is that right?
I only saw 1, but he might have 2. I'm not sure. I think he just has 1.
He might just have 1. Regardless, most of the pros say that's an easy first pick.
And he did, actually. He took that first out.
Yeah, that is a strong card. And that'll block that Stromkirk Noble rather nicely.
Yeah.
Now, however, James does have a Stromkirk Captain in his hand.
He does.
One of 2 in his deck, so...
and we know that the Fiend Hunter is we have a dead weight for the Falkenrath
dead weight.
Noble, so Owen's going to go to 17, and James is going to go to 19. And if James can fall off with a Swamp here and drop the Captain, or he doesn't have
no Swamp. You can flash back to Faithful Salute.
I think he has a Crossway Vampire, maybe.
Crossway would be great for James here.
Yeah. Now, either way, this Stromkirk Noble is going to be able to get it.
Yeah. I think you probably just play the Crossway Vampire to get more power on the board, and then
he's already cast a spell this turn, so it's not like the Ironsmith is going to become Iron Fang, if he passes back. So he might just want to do it.
Yeah, so he Crossway Vampire on the Fiend Hunter and attacks, and this sets up James nicely next turn. He can cast the Stromkirk Captain, get in with everybody, and it's going to be very tricky for Owen to block profitably at that
4,
point.
5, that's going to be 7 damage coming in.
Yeah.
At first strike.
Yeah.
And then that's not even including the Ironsmith. Yeah. This could be a savage beating. Owen's going to need to make a kind of a stabilization play here.
Yeah, those 2 Stromkirk Captains really made James move in on Vampires in the first back. He saw they were there.
Yeah. Oh, he has 2 Captains and 2 Nobles?
I believe he has 2 Captains,
yes.
I walked by his deck,
Owen's
not totally
an
sure.
Elgod Inquisitor, which is yet another human. Now, this one has lifelink, so it can potentially help, kind of stave off a little bit. The first strike means that it's not going to be doing it through blocking.
Right. All right, so
So
Looks like James is
thinking
thinking
about
now.
what he wants to do here. It's good. You know, it seemed like the obvious play, but he's being methodical and making sure that he's doing the right thing.
Yep, and there's the captain.
Captain comes down.
Owen deciphering the board. Look, even in the face of extreme danger, Owen just calm,
He looks.
trying to figure out how to win.
He's just thinking about what his line is here.
Yep. And James serves in with the CrossFit Vampire and the Noble, leaving the werewolf back at home. Doesn't want that to get eaten up by the Elgod Inquisitor. 2/2 lifelink, and when it dies, you get a 2/2 flyer. So, or 1/1 flyer, excuse me.
Yeah, Owen would gain 2 life and eat his guy, so there's no sense in sending him in. We do know that James has a Geist Flame in his yard as well, so if he does want to pass a turn here in order to transform as werewolf, he can do that at some point and still have something to do on Owen's turn, depending on what's out there.
Yeah, and Owen's sitting at 8 right now, and that Noble connected, it's up to 3. Owen doesn't have any creatures that can block it. CrossFit Vampire.
I see a Wake Dancer in Owen's hand, which could potentially produce a zombie token if he can get Morbid here. The downside is that that's just chumping at this point to the actually to all of his guys because of the first strike.
And getting Morbid isn't really going to accomplish too much, or it's not going to be very realistic, because if you attack, James is going to take it. Sitting comfortably at 19, in this format, why risk the Morbid trigger?
So he might want to get rid of the Inquisitor because of the life gain aspect of it. Although, I think you're right, because he really can't risk the Captain here.
Right, yeah, a combat trick would just blow James out.
So, gain 2, he doesn't seem happy about it, but I think he realizes that Owen going to 10 here isn't that big of a deal.
Right, especially considering James can track back for so much. All of his vampires +1, Stromkirk Noble 4/4, Crossway Vampire 4/3.
And he does always have, again, the Geist Flame in the yard to do a final point of damage if it ends up being one of those type of games.
Right, exactly. Or pick off a flyer if non-human flyer comes down.
So we see a Highborn Ghoul from Owen. This is a fine target for a Geist Flame if it comes to that as well.
Looks like James
still can't block profitably, though. All his guys have first strike.
Yeah,
his
first
whole
strike.
team does.
Man, beating the first strike, the Lord, is very difficult. Now, James has 2 lands in his hand, but he does have that Faithless Looting in the graveyard also, so the flashback mechanic will allow him to just find 2 more cards. Don't need those lands, fine, throw them away.
Yeah, and that's really nice, too, because the first time you play it, you're going to lose a card out of your hand, and that can hurt. But when he flashes it back, he's not actually giving away a card.
Right, you're making up for the fact with the second use. All right, so James serves in. Same attack as last time.
Yeah, he looks like he's still just trying to protect the Captain because it's such an important card for him.
Yeah, I just wouldn't risk that. You don't want
the Captain just gets blocked by the Fiend Hunter anyway for no damage.
Or rebuked even by Owen would be a big problem. All right, Owen.
So Owen chumps the Crossway Vampire, it looks like. Or, no, it looks like he chumped the Noble because it didn't get another counter.
Yeah, doesn't want it to have another counter, wisely so. And James plays his 5th land, says go.
So he's going to transform his werewolf here.
Has Geist Flame mana up.
He does. He's going to be representing lethal on the board.
And I'm sure James doesn't mind blocking with that.
All right, so that's a Dearly Departed.
Okay.
Now that's a nice one. That's a Spirit, so that can block whatever it needs to.
6 right?
So it's a 5/5 flyer, and if it ever dies, probably not going to be relevant in this game, but if it dies and you play humans, the humans come in with counters, so +1/+1 counters. Yep. So it's a really nice card. I'm sure Owen took that card rather highly in his draft. James drew a red card there. Wasn't sure what it was. Looked like maybe...
Was it a Rage Thrower, maybe? Or?
That was Rage Thrower. That could be it right here.
Yeah, because he does have the land to play as well.
He didn't Faithless Looting last turn. I wanted to flip his Vampire or his Werewolf.
It's not Rage Thrower if he's thinking about going to attacks.
Yeah. Post-combat Rage Thrower is not a play you see very often.
Is it a Ricochet?
A Ricochet could be good here.
It could be.
I think maybe you just have to lose a guy to the Dearly Departed and push the damage through.
I mean, it depends. Like, if James has a lot of burn in his deck, you know, he can use that Faithless Looting to dig, and try to hit something to finish him off. But I can agree with your line here of pushing through.
Yeah, well, if James wants to Faithless Looting first, that just gives him some more options. That's pretty reasonable, I think.
Yeah, another play that James can make is if he does attack and the Fiend Hunter ends up going in front of, like, the Stromkirk Captain, James can Geist Flame the Fiend Hunter, and he'll get his other Stromkirk Noble back,
which is huge.
Keeps generating an advantage.
He drew Traitorous Blood off of his Faithless Looting,
no.
So Owen's not going to be happy about this.
And he does have a land in his hand as well, so he's
that's
going to steal the Dearly Departed, and that should be the game.
A Traitorous Blood steals a creature, going to take the 5/5 flyer, and Owen picks him up. James Wynn advances 1-0 in the quarters over Player of the Year, Owen TURTENWALD. Now, James still has a rough road to face. Both of their decks are strong, and 2 more match games, and Owen has never one to give up in the face of defeat. He has been in the situation multiple times.
Yeah, Owen's going to be in battle mode here. He has been in a lot of GP top 8s, he's still chasing that elusive victory, and he doesn't want to give it up here.
Yeah, Owen is so hungry. Last year, he had top 8 at 11 Grand Prix and didn't take home a single one. 11 Grand Prix is an absurd title, and Owen is ready to stop that curse.
Yeah. I have to say I'm really impressed with James's poise here, though. He does not look... He looks very calm. He's crisply playing through his turns.
Yeah, not rushing, not taking too much time either.
No, you saw him kind of start to make a play and then say, let me just take a look here.
Yeah, he understands he's in the top 8, and he's got the time to make sure he makes the right play. The last thing you want is to lose your slot to Barcelona because you just made a hasty play and messed up.
Right, no reason for it. I talked to James. He said this is his first Grand Prix title.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And he's a local player. I've known him for a long time, and he's won a couple PTQs.
Okay.
Or won at least one, I think, 2 PTQs. Played a blue, black, red Fairies deck to qualify for the Pro Tour once, and now he's a local player. Plays in the local PTQs, makes top 8 every now and then. 6-2 sometimes. Has a lot of fun. Really enjoys doing formats like cube draft or booster drafting with friends. And this weekend, he's just like, okay, I'll come out. It's a Grand Prix in my hometown. I love it. Mm-hmm. And here he is, sitting in the top 8. It's a great place to be. Yeah, that could be you if you come out to one of these events.
Totally. He's up a game in the quarters here as well against Grand Prix master, really, Owen TURTENWALD.
Well, a master if you can take down a victory at least.
Yeah, that's fair enough. He certainly knows how these things work, but he's going to have to scratch back here and win 2 games in a row if he wants to have a chance to win this thing.
More appropriately might just be to take the words Grand Prix off that phrase, the master Owen TURTENWALD. I mean, with Player of the Year last year, he made Magic just look like it came simply to him. He just drove through tournament after tournament. I was going around to all the U.S. Grand Prix last year, and every tournament without fail, Owen would be there. And I just asked him what his record was, and it would be XO, X1, going down the home stretch. And once Owen gets to day 2, he is just so strong. It is so hard for him to fail on day 2. He just feels like he can take it down.
Yeah. I was talking to David Marshall about it too, and we were kind of reflecting on how good Owen is at seals.
Yeah, definitely.
He is an excellent sealed player, like one of the better ones around for sure. And that is sealed is kind of an art form that maybe doesn't get as much attention as draft does. But Owen just has a knack for sealed and seems to be able to put together decks in sealed that on paper don't look that amazing, and he somehow just knows with them. I mean, his technical play is fantastic.
Yes.
He's a very high-level player, but still, I've seen some of his decks, and they're not, he did the best with what he had, but they're not that great.
Yeah. I think a lot of players feel like sealed is a very luck-driven format to open bombs, to open a bad pool, but I think sealed is actually a reasonable amount of skill. Limited in general is just so skill testing. And Owen maybe has good pools sometimes, bad pools other times, but he makes the most of what he has. And it's clear that if you just play tightly, make good plays, you can do well with a bad pool. I've top-8'd PTQs with terrible pools, and when 0-2 drop with pools I thought were insane. That's just all in how you play it, and making sure that you make the right play at every juncture, understanding how to sideboard is crucial. A lot of players just don't understand sealed. So the players take their opening hands here. I see a couple lands, looks like a checklist card in Owen's hand, a Fiend Hunter again. James has a Deadweight, a Galvanic Juggernaut. I think maybe is that the 2-1 zombie, the 2-1 Intimidate zombie, the Highborn Ghoul.
It does look like it. It might be, I haven't really gone to look at it yet.
Yeah.
There's a swamp.
See a swamp. I don't know if James has any lands.
James like the swamp might have been his only land, so he's going to go ahead and take them all again.
Yeah, James taking a trip to Paris. Owen content with his 7, though. Owen's 7 looks pretty reasonable. The interesting thing about sealed is that I think a lot of players just don't practice it enough. A lot of players will get together with their friends and draft.
Yeah, because getting together with your friends to sealed isn't as fun. It's more interactive to draft,
Yeah, and a lot of players just prefer drafting for, whatever reason they have.
I'm one of them, but still, I have an appreciation for sealed, and I tend to try to put at least some percentage of my time to doing it because, if you don't day 2, you don't get to draft.
That is absolutely true.
It's one comes before the other, and so if you can't play sealed, you never get to draft for real, in a GP. So you have to put some emphasis on it. I think a lot of people just think that it's draft where you don't get to pick all your cards, and it's not the case. And
especially with Magic Online play helps a lot too. You can play sealed all the time on there. I know that's helped a lot of these players elevate their sealed game.
For sure.
So James takes another hand. I see 2 lands. I see a captain. I think that might be a Deadweight again. James is content with this. Hand looks good enough. Mountain Pass. No turn 1 Noble for him this game.
That's probably going to be a release. It's a Cloistered Youth. Thanks, Owen, for writing it on for us. It's always a mystery when they play them.
Yeah, checklist cards, a little rough. Yeah. So Cloistered Youth comes down for Owen TURTENWALD.
So he's going to have to make a decision here on if he'd like to transform it. Now, we haven't seen a ping spell. All right, he's just going to dead weight it away. I think he just probably realized that he was going to take too much damage from that over the course.
Yeah, I was wondering if James had Geist Flame, but dead weight would also do the trick.
Yeah. Also, he would have just pinged it.
All right. So Owen untaps. Looks like he drew a swamp there. Down comes the 2/1 flyer.
Yeah, so that's Niblis of the Mist.
It's a Niblis of some variety.
It is, of the fountain with a sheet on it. And this is the one that taps a creature when it comes into play. It's a 2/1 flyer.
Yeah, and James answers with the Stromkirk Captain. No other vampires benefit from it, but still a 2/2 first striker. Gets plenty of work done.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Disciple of Grizzlebrain.
That's a 1 sacrifice a creature, gain life equal to its toughness?
Correct. Hey, look at you.
Or is it power?
It's toughness.
I don't remember if it combos with Tree of Redemption or not.
It's toughness.
Toughness, oh man. Get the tree deck. Alright, James drops the mountain. And looks like he's going to go for...
Airdwall Ripper.
Okay, now that's a good one to have with the Captain. It's a 2/1 with haste and the vampire ability of getting counters.
First strike.
So now it's a 3/2 with first strike, haste, gets put a counter on it. That situation worked out well. What was a rather unassuming board state for James Nguyen turned into a conversion of, 3, 4, 5 damage?
Yeah. So
And
we see a Falkenrath Noble off the top for Owen here. I don't know if he's got the land to play it.
All right, Owen's going to get in for 1 with the Disciple.
Now, he decided not to attack with his 2/1 flyer. So, what's the read there?
It reads removal spell to me. It reads like he's going to try and remove the Stromkirk Noble and then block,
captain, you mean?
or the captain, then kill the Ripper, or block the Ripper.
Looks like that thing can't block anything.
But yeah, Crossway Vampire comes down. James says no. I don't know if Owen has a removal spell that can kill off the captain, but being able to bluff it is just going to be good enough here, potentially.
And probably worth more than the 2 points of damage. I mean, it's become apparent that Owen's not going to be able to race from this situation.
Okay, so Owen's got 2 Fate's Shields in his deck, and he casts one of them, giving it protection from red. Okay. So Crossway Vampire... Oh, Funeral Pyre comes down for James
Harvest
Nguyen.
Pyre in response.
Excuse me, Harvest Pyre.
Is going to... Wow. Okay, so...
Owen pays 1 and stacks it to the Gristlebrand and gains a life. Yep. James comes in. So James, definitely in the damage lead, he had to expend a lot of resources there. And I find so often with these aggro decks, you'd find that one turn where you throw like 2 or 3 cards at something, and then you might be out of gas.
Out of gas. Yeah, he does only have 1 card left in his hand. He's got 5 mana though, and he can cast anything he draws except for 6 drops.
And he has a hardy board state too. He's got the 2/2 Captain. He has a now 5/4 Ripper alongside a 5/4.
All right, and it looks like Owen's missed another land drop here.
Oh man, this is rough for Owen. Owen Turtenwald sitting at 10 life. James is only 2 lands in hand.
He's got 2 lands, but he doesn't need anything else currently given the board state.
Yeah, now, Owen is in a rough
James
state.
has to consider things like Rebuke, Village Bell Ringers. I guess he doesn't really have to consider that a card as a Midnight Haunting could keep Owen alive for another turn.
I feel like you just have to, I think you just have to push. Oh, I was going to push everybody in.
He's going to leave the captain back, though.
It's 2 word about Rebuke, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, so Disciple of the Gristlebrand will block there. And Owen's going to Fate's Shield again to keep it alive. And Crossway Vampire will hit Owen for 3, dropping him to 7. I think I would have got in with the captain there.
You think he just would have gone for it?
Yeah, I think Owen has to have Rebuke because Midnight Haunting doesn't really deal with it.
Okay. Owen has not drawn a land again. He drew another Niblis, the same one as before.
Yeah, Niblis again. But still, I trust James. He's in the top 8 of this Grand Prix and has played this format a lot more than I have. So there's that. Yeah, Owen Turtenwald.
I mean, that is an important card for him.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Enabling all this.
And plus, when you're so far ahead, you don't want to accidentally just throw something away. What was that? You just drew, was that a pitch burn?
Did not see.
I think it was a pitch burn.
All right, now that Owen's tapped out, he's going to ship the squad in here. That makes perfect sense.
So, yeah, Owen taps out for another Niblis.
And he's just got a double chump.
Oh, and I think this is it for Owen. The double chump block there. Yeah. And he does not have a sweeper in his deck. And there's a pitch burn. That's it. Owen's going to pack him in. James Nguyen moves on to the semifinals, grabs his slot to Barcelona. Owen exits in the quarterfinals yet again. You know, I talked to Owen, and he said he felt like he had a good chance as long as he drew well, and he did just not draw well there.
He did not. He needed to hit that 4th land for a long time, and that would have helped him. He did have the Falkenrath Noble. He had the Falkenrath Noble. Is that the one I'm thinking of? He had the 2/2 flyer for 3 and a black.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my cards here. I feel like
I know the feeling.
Don't know.
Falkenrath Noble, is that the? Yeah, it's that one.
But
right.
he had a chance to start